Hello, it's Kadesha. I'm back with another video. It is so important for us to know the value of ourselves because, of course, if we don't know it, then someone else will tell you your worth. And like I always say, no one can truly pay you, because I'm talking about a job in this situation. No one could actually pay you what you're worth. However, we want it always to be a win-win situation. So, yes, I have a story. So, when I was talking to an individual about the pricing in which it was going to cost for this service that they were wanting, and they were like, they didn't necessarily. So, this is not to talk about them. I say that all the time. This is never about the person that I'm talking about. This is for your situation. So, it can be for anything. It not necessarily a job, but most of the time that's when we're thinking about getting compensated is for a service. So it can go both ways as far as you not paying something too much if you don't realize that this is not the value of something, or it could also be to where like you're being the I don't want to say the thing, but what is being valuable, what is being valued. There we go. And so you have to make sure that you don't undervalue yourself. So it's two ways to look at this. But the way I'm coming off is knowing your value as an individual. So I was talking, like I said, I was talking to this person, and they were telling me, okay, this is how much I usually pay for this. And I was like, okay, well, that's not going to work. And so they were like, oh, basically, they was like, well, I'm not going to be able to afford that. And most of the time when someone tells you that, if we're desperate, that's another caveat, or another word. Tony cracking me up, caveats and nuances. But that's another thing. We have to not be desperate, because when you're desperate, that also will make you lower your value. And I have to realize, like, some things are not meant for me, so I'm going to have to allow that to slip through my hands, even though I could change the price or manipulate it to make it to where they will use me. So they were like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to afford that or pay for that. And I just was quiet, because it's no need for me to go back and forth with somebody after I've already told them what my pricing is, or what is the expected price of a service that you're asking. And so we have to be very wise in this, because of course sometimes we can get a little too, and I don't want to say expensive, because expensive is relative, but we can come off as being overly confident. And so we would think like, oh, so, okay, somebody needs to pay me $1,000 an hour. And it's just like, get real, okay? Get real. Somebody getting paid $1,000 an hour. So kudos to you. I want everybody to be able to pay that so you can make that. But that is not the average hourly price for the world here. So we have to bring it down a notch. And we can't be that confident, because it's no service that you're getting that will be worth that much. Like, nothing in the world. If oxygen, which keeps us alive, is technically, and I say technically, free, then I don't know what would be more valuable than us breathing, because if I wouldn't breathe, then I wouldn't be able to get the service anyway. So we have to not be overly confident in this, but also, like I said, not basically valuing yourself by saying, just because someone is like, oh, I can't afford this, or I'm not gonna be able to pay for this, doesn't mean that you're supposed to switch up your price or to change your price to fit within that category, unless you think that your price is less than that. And if your price, you feel like it's less than that, then now they're looking at you as if you were trying to highball them, because they're like, you changed your price when you obviously said this. So that's another reason why, of course, we have to learn to value ourselves, because it can look like you're trying to manipulate someone when you change your price after they said something is not what they feel like they can afford. We have to realize that people go into different stores and they already have their price on the stores. And yeah, people will try to I say, well, can I get this at a lower price? Especially at like the retail shops where something is like defected, you can ask for a lower price and they would usually give you like 10% off, but you can't return it depending on what the item is. They're like, you can't return this because you've gotten the item marked down. And so that's the cost that you pay for getting something a little bit cheaper than what the original price was, which you could be able to return. So I just want you to look at the situation and see where you may be undervaluing yourself. That word is hard. In a certain area to where people are telling you what your value is, and I think that should never be the case. We should always look to our Father who tells us what our ultimate value is, and people may not see you the way the Father sees you, but if you see yourself the way the Father sees you, then you're able to go in with confidence and say whatever price that it is and stick with that, knowing that that is the price that the Lord has okayed you to provide a service for, and knowing that if someone cannot afford it or not willing to pay it, then that's okay. Thank you so much for watching. Like I always say, sa cambio que quieres ver en otros, bo me laga na comida. Until next time, bye.